Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to Southern Girl Can Jingle Craft Hop Collaboration. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, everyone. I am Teresa from Teresa's Spot for Art, where I love sharing art from my heart and teaching you how to create a little joy in your life through some fun, simple, and quick art projects. We are going to do a painting today. I'm going to walk you through it step by step. If you go into the description box below, you will find a list of the colors I used and a link to get the tracer if you want the tracer. Also, there will be a list of all the other collaborators that are in this Jingle Craft Hop. So when you're done watching me, you can hop over and watch them too. And don't forget to hit my subscribe button as well as theirs. So let me turn you guys around and we will get started. So here we go. This tracer prints out in 2 pages, so I have used tape to tape it together. I have an 11 by 14 canvas, and I have just eyeballed it where I want it to be and put a piece of tape up top to make like a hinge, so when I want to make sure that I didn't forget any lines, I can just lift it up easily. I am grabbing a piece of this very well-worn graphite paper that you can get on Michaels or Amazon or in Michaels or even Staples, I believe. Or you can draw it freehand, totally up to you, but the link for the tracer is below. I'm going to grab my stylus. You can grab a pencil, a pen, whatever you have, and I'm going to get started tracing. Now this does not have to be perfect. We're not going to worry about, coloring inside the lines. This is all just a guide for you. It helps me proportion, it helps me lay out my painting, and it helps me see where I'm going to put everything. It is in no way meant to be a rendering of a church or anything else. All my kits come with a tracer or a pre-traced canvas, the brushes you need and the paint you need, or a supply list. And then, usually, depending on the design, a video like this. If you wanted to, you could grab a ruler to do these straight lines. Obviously, I don't really bother with that, but you could if you wanted to. This graphite paper works really well and lasts a very long time. Now, I'm not going to do my bow because I'm not going to do a bow like that, first of all. And second of all, when we trace these, be careful not to trace these kind of elements too big, because if you want to fix it, as you try and fix it, left, right, it grows and grows and grows. So I'm not putting the bow, I just put a little circle for the wreath. And now I'm going to hinge up and make sure I have all my lines. I might be missing one on the eave here. Yes, I am. And there we go. So I think, yep, that is it. So let's remove the tape. Let's remove my tracer. And let's remove the graphite paper. Okay, and now we will get started. I am going to put out some black and white. I have my notes there so I don't forget to name everybody and do what I need to do. If you have gray, you can use gray. I'm just going to put out some white and a little bit of black. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. If you have not hit the subscribe button, please do. The list of the colors for this project are in the box below, but I'm using black and white. I said if you have gray, you can use gray. A dark green, in this case it's evergreen. A deep red, and I'm using Tuscan red, but you can use any red or any green that you like. And then I'm using gold. You can add glitter if you want. You can skip the gold, totally up to you. I know you can't see my lines, but I can. They are there. You need about a 1-inch wide flat brush. You need a smaller flat brush. This is about a 1/4 inch wide. And then I have this liner brush, which will come together once I wet it and put it in the paint. Your brushes really depend on the size surface you're using. I'm using these size brushes. This is what will work the best for me with this size canvas. And again, this is an 11 by 14. So I hope you guys are enjoying the Jingle Bell Hop. It has been fun. Lots and lots of creatives on here. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to load my brush up with white. When I load my brush, I'm not going to be shy. I'm not going to be afraid of the paint. I want to push down on my brush. I want the fibers of my brush to flare out because I want to get paint all up in here. I'm not just going to come over and dip the very tip in my brush in the paint. Nope, nope, nope. You want to be a little assertive. Get some paint in that brush. And then I'm going to just dip the tiniest corner in the black, and we will get started with that, and I'm going to see how that works. I recently started using this Lazy Susie because I'm thinking it's going to help me because I'm forever moving my surface around. So now I've just gone upside down. So we don't want to overblend our background. I'm taking my brush on the chisel edge. I'm standing up, and again, it's white. You can't see. And I'm just outlining where I'm going to put my sky around the trees and the church steeple. Up here is mostly gray and white. Don't fret about going over the lines, and really don't fret about going over your cross on top of your church. You can add that back in later. So I'm going to constantly be picking up white and then just a corner of black. And we're going to come in here. We want our sky, the background, to have some movement in it. We don't want to overblend. We want different shades of white, different shades of gray in our background. So I'm just, honestly, just really painting this a little messy. If you get some on your bushes, don't fret. If you get some on your trees, don't fret. Tiny bit of black, because it will all get fixed when we go back with the next step, layer. Painting a painting is like building a building. You start at the bottom, and in this case, the bottom layer, and you work your way up. So this way, the elements that you want on top are the elements that when you come to paint them in, fix everything else after you've done your base coating. Now we don't want any harsh lines here, so I'm going to go back in, and I'm just, see my wrist? I'm just flicking my wrist back and forth, blending in. Mine is a little bit darker over here, gets a little lighter to this side, and I am okay with that. The most important thing is you want your background to have a variety, not just one solid color. Okay, I am going to also take my brush while it's dirty and paint my edges. Now you can do this if you want. You can skip this part if you want. If you're painting on something other than a canvas, obviously you don't have to worry about this part. You can do whatever you like. It's your art. But now that I've gotten some white onto the front from my edges, I'm just going to go back in again and just carefully blend that in. Okay, and there we go. Background is done. I'm not even going to wash my brush. I'm going to pick up a little bit of black again, and I want to come in here and I want to just do the little roof of the church. While I have this gray on my brush, I'm going to pick up a little bit more white and black and just fill this in. And this can be a little bit darker than your roof, than your background. The important thing is here, when you do these, when you do this part of the roof, you want to pull your brush strokes down. You want to continue them vertically down as you fill that in. Okay? And that's it. We're going to leave that for now. Now I am going to wash my brush. Oh, forgot my fresh water. I use 2 cups. I use 1 cup with soap water and then 1 cup for rinsing. Okay, now you can keep this brush or move to your smaller brush. It is totally up to you. I'm going to base coat in my trees. So I'm getting, again, I'm not being shy about my paint. And I'm picking up a decent amount of green onto my brush. And I'm coming in here and I'm base coating in my tree above the fence and to the side of the church here, or the chapel, or whatever you want to call it. And again, I'm going to do the side of my canvas. Now I'm going to move up to this tree. You don't want the edges of your tree to be too straight. They're bushes, they're a little abstract in the background, but you don't want straight lines. You don't want them to look just like triangles. So I'm coming in here and I'm just waving my brush around a little bit and filling in the background of our trees. And this is just the base coat. Okay. I'm going to pick up a little bit of black. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to mix it over here with my green. And I'm going to just add a little bit of this darker color right in here to shade where my trees meet. Another little corner. Mix up a little bit of black. Not too much. I'm going to make sure that I have where I have the darker green mixed with the black. And I'm going to add a little bit of shade to that side of the building. And that's it. I'm going to go back to my green and I'm going to base coat in this whole thing. I'm going to need a little bit more green. Again, I'm just following the line of my tree all the way down. You don't want it to be straight. It's not supposed to just look like a triangle. It might have a little shape to it. But this is just the base coat. When we go back in and we add the details for the branches, you're going to see how the outline is going to come all uneven, all on its own. When I do the trees above the roof, I am going to switch brushes. So that's why I skipped over here to this big one. And then I'll be skipping back over to the ones above the roof when I'm done with this one. So I hope you're enjoying this Jingle Craft Hop. I want to thank Southern Girl Can for organizing this collab. We did it for Halloween. It was called the Collab-Halloween, and it was great. And if you have not subscribed to my channel, please do. Lots of videos on there for your crafting enjoyment. I have some really simple videos on there from ornaments that you can paint or ornaments that you can make with children. So feel free to go over there and watch them. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And also, don't forget to join the rest of the videos in this collab and go see what other people are doing with their talents. A little bit more green, and now I'm going to do these ones up top. A fairly straight line for the roof, and then a fairly straight line. And then when I do the trees back here, I'm not going to worry about the straight line. When I traced it, it was fairly straight, but when I paint it, I'm just giving a little wiggle to my brush. And then we'll fill these in too. When I'm base coating, I might get into all the nooks and crannies at first, but then when I go back to smooth out my paint, I want my brush strokes to match the element. So with bushes, it really doesn't matter. You want your bushes to be bushy. But like with the roof, I wanted all my brush strokes to be vertical, and that's going to be the same thing for when we do the rest of the barn or the church. Where did I get barn from? Now I'm just coming back in here while I have this little brush, and I'm just adding a little bit more green. Messily, is that a word? To these bushes to just give them a little bit more character. And that is it. Okay? Again, I'm going to come over here, a little bit of corner in the black. Mix it on the side of the green, just a little bit. And then I want to add some shadow in here next to the steeple. Some shadow in here on the roof line. And shadow here where my trees meet each other. And later on at some point, I will also come back in here and I will add a little bit more green to these like I did here. This is going to get something special because this is the focal point of our art. Okay? So I'm going to wash my brush. I think I might go back to the big brush. It is up to you what brush you use, whatever brush you're comfortable with. I don't suggest using a really, really tiny brush because then you'll have way too many brush strokes. So I'm going to come back to my white and I'm just going to start painting in the rest of my church. You should be able to see your pencil lines. If you think you're going to have trouble seeing your pencil lines, by all means, you can go over these particular ones with a Sharpie, although I do not suggest doing that with all my paintings, but in this case you can, because they're all going to get black outline and shadow and details, so it'll be okay. So I'm just going right over, I can go over the window too actually. I'm going right over the window. I'm not going to go over the door because our door is going to be red. And if our white is not dry, we will get pink, and we don't want pink. So I'm going to try and avoid the door. If you get white paint on your door, don't worry about it because just make sure it is totally dry when it is time to add the red. Or you know what? Maybe you don't want a red door. Maybe you want to make your door a different color. That is totally up to you. So like I was mentioning before, I have all my chapel covered, and I want my brush strokes to all be vertical. So when you're trying to fill it in, it's okay, but then when you want to neaten it up, got a little green in there, and fix everything, you want all your brush strokes to go the same way. And that would be whichever way the elements in your painting are going. If I was doing something else, I might want my brushes to go in a circular motion. If I was doing like a different design, I might want my brush strokes to go in a horizontal direction. But in this case, I want them all to go vertical. Right? Now I'm actually going to mix a little gray. I'm going to move my white, I'm going to take a corner of my black, and I'm going to mix some gray because I want to get a particular color. And that, whatever color that is up to you. Dark, light, whatever you want. And now I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to run the gray down the side of my church. Okay? We're just trying to give our church a little bit more character. None of this has to be perfect. You can leave your church white if you want. I'm just adding a little bit of gray. Not full coverage. You can see it's kind of streaky, and I like that. Okay, I did the side a little bit darker, but as far as the front goes, I just made it a little bit streaky. I'm going to come in here to this part, and I'm going to turn my brush and use it on the chisel edge. Just to get a little streaky in here. Okay. Then I want to make this a little bit darker. And I want to put some shadow right up here and under this roof line. So I do that by holding my brush on the chisel edge upright, giving it a little bit of pressure, and painting that in. And I'm going to do the same thing with this corner. Okay. And I am going to switch, to a smaller brush. I'm going to get this color that I made here, and I'm going to base coat in my window. This window has a bit of a heart shape to it. This was one of those things I was telling you, if you have a small element in your painting and you keep trying to fix it and fix it and fix it, it will grow. So at some point you just have to be like, oh, looks good. Okay. Again with this color, I'm going to add a little bit of shading in here next to our stairs, on the railing, under the railing, and here as well. Then I'm going to paint the fence. A little bit more white. And of course we want these to be vertical. We're going to have to add some detail to that later. Our paintings go through many stages. So if you're looking at your painting here right now and you're going, ooh, don't fret. I'm going to add a little gray up here. Not too much. Get a little bit more white. Don't fret. As we work on our painting, we add the layers, we throw in the details, your painting will start coming to life. Okay? So pretty much, I have to do my snow. So fresh white. Now we're going to come in here and I'm going to paint, picked up a little green. Paint this whole bottom with white. You see I'm making little arches with my brushes too. We don't want this to just be plain. This is what I was talking about before with brush strokes. You want your brush strokes to match your elements. And although you may not be able to see it, I'm actually doing the white down here. Although you may not be able to see it, let me see if I can hold you up. You could think you can see it now. My snow has little mounds to it. And then we're going to put in our stairs. In our stairs, we want our brush strokes to be horizontal. Okay. And this, if you remember, was all base coated white before. So I've pretty much base coated everything in at this point. We did our sky with gray and we did that with black and white. Then I went in while I had the gray and I did the roof pretty dark on my church. Then I picked up my dark green and base coated in all my trees. Then I finished base coating in my church white, and then I started adding some different highlights and lowlights to parts of my church, the window, the staircase, and then a nice fresh snow. I added the snow on the bottom. I'm going to mix up a little bit more gray. And we're going to put a path in here. And I'm just scrubbing my brush. I'm holding it about on a 45. And I'm just scrubbing my brush back and forth through the snow with this gray and out to the end of my canvas, just to make a little path. I'm going to come into here, the stairs a little bit. So that's going to be a little bit of a walking path. And then I'm going to rinse my brush. The beauty of these videos and the beauty of YouTube is if you need to catch up, or I'm going too fast, or I'm going too slow, you control the video. You can pause, fast forward, come back, whatever you need to do. Okay, I'm just roughly adding in here, not full coverage, but like a second coat like I did over here with the green, just to give our trees a little, those back trees, a little bit more character and a little bit more definition. I'm going to switch to my liner brush now and my green paint. So I can see my circle in here. I'm going to start doing my wreath. And my wreath is just going to be a series of taps. It does not want to be perfect. It does not have to be full coverage. I'm just taking my liner brush and I'm just tapping around the circle that we drew on before with our tracer and tapping in a circle wreath shape. If you have some white in it, okay, and you want the rough edges around because it's a wreath and it is all good. All right, then I'm going to rinse my brush. I'm going to use this same brush, and again, use whatever brush you're comfortable with. Put out a little red paint. This is Tuscan Red, and I'm going to paint in my door. Again, you don't have to do your door in red, but look how that pops. Isn't that just gorgeous? Be careful if you need to rest your hand, that the rest of your artwork is dry. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to pick up a tiny little bit of black on my red brush, and I'm just going to come in here on the side. I'm going to pull up, and as I get up here to the top, I'm just going to make it a little thinner so it looks like the door is recessed and that's a little shadow. Then I'm going to take the back of my brush, I'm going to dip it in the black paint, and I'm going to make a doorknob. Then I want to wipe that off and I want to go, I'll do my bow. I'm going to go back into my red. I want to twirl my liner brush because I want to get a nice point on it. And then I'm going to make a bow. And my bow is just 2 loops and 2 strings. 2 loops and 2 tails. So I'm going to make 1 loop another loop, and then I'm going to make the tails. But of course it's going to be much tinier on my wreath. So one loop, two loops, and then a tail. And you can put your bow on the bottom. I wanted my bow off to the side. I didn't think I had enough room for the bottom. Okay. Then I'm going to go back to my smaller brush. Actually, I'm not. I'm going to go back to my larger brush. We're going to start building up our tree here. Okay. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to load my brush with this dark green. And I'm going to come to the bottom of my tree. I'm going to stand my brush up. And I'm going to pull up with some strokes. And go along the entire bottom. I want the ones on the outside to face in a little bit. And the ones in the middle to just go up the middle. Now this is green on green, so you can't really see it. As I work my way up, I'm going to start dipping my brush in the green and then the corner in the white. Green and corner in the white. And I'm just layering these. You want to be a little random. You don't want your white to look like it's in layers. And I'm just filling in green, white. I'm using my brush, standing upright. I'm giving it a push, and I'm just pulling it up. If your brush starts to get a little messy, go to your plate, fix it with a little pressure, and then get your green and your white and get started again. Now this is a tree, it's a Christmas tree, it is in nature. It in no way has to be perfect. The snow is not going to fall perfect. Now I'm going to add a little bit of white down to the bottom. And every time I'm picking up green, and then I'm adding white to my brush, and I'm working my way up. So green, add a little white. And the white is usually facing me. Again, my brush got a little wonky, so I want to fix it and then start over. Green with one corner, white with the other. And this is what I meant before about don't worry about the lines on your tree, because when we do this next step, our tree will automatically have uneven lines because we added these cool strokes to it. Again, I'm going to come to the outside. And if we don't want to do soldiers back and forth, but we do want to work our way up. If you get to a point where your brush is too messy or you have too much of a blend going on, wipe your brush off and go back into whichever color you need more of. If you need more white, pick up white. I wanted to come up here with the green, so I just wiped my brush off and came in with the dark green, and I'm going to add a little bit of dark green strokes in here in a few places. And there we have that beautiful tree. Easy peasy, right? Just by using the brush upright, giving it a little smush and a pull. Okay, I'm gonna put that one back in the water. And going back to my liner brush, and I need fresh white now. I messed it up with my green. And I'm just going to add a little bit of highlight to our window. I'm going to add a little bit of fresh white to our fence. Going to add a little bit of fresh white to our stairs. And we want these lines to be as parallel as we can make them. And again, some fresh white where our railing is going to go. Maybe put a little bit of highlight on our concrete there. And a little bit of highlight up here on our gray where we did our eave before. Okay. I'm just going to wipe my brush, and now we're going to go into the black. Thank you for watching the Jingle Craft Hop. I am so excited to be here and be part of this event. It has been a lot of fun. Don't forget to hit my red subscribe button and follow me and the rest of the presenters and Southern Girl Can, of course. Now, if you don't have a steady hand or you're concerned about using a liner brush, you can wait until your painting is 100% dry, and I mean 100% dry, like tomorrow. You can wait and use a paint pen, a Posca paint pen or any other kind of paint pen that you have or like, or you know what, just go for it. And I'm just coming in here and I'm doing some outlining. And I'm mostly just following the lines that we originally had in here. Again, when we traced in or drew in our chapel. If your liner brush is not moving, add the tiniest bit of water to your paint. Tiny bit. Okay, now I outlined the steps. Now I'm going to take my brush, I'm going to do a few little horizontal lines for our stairs. I'm going to put vertical lines in here for our railing. Okay. I want to come in here and I'm just going to outline the one side of the door where I made it dark with the shadow. I'm going to go in here, I'm going to outline the window. If you don't want to give this window the curves on the top, you don't have to. Just go right ahead and do a rectangle for your window. Come over here and do this part. Pull down here a little bit. Right in the corner. Let's do this. Okay. Bottom step. Oh, and then the top of our steeple. That's again before I said don't worry about going outside the lines. Don't worry about being perfect. Our painting takes steps. We go in steps for a reason. we build our painting like a building from the foundation up. And as we do the next step, we can always come in there and fix our first steps. Now I'm going to do the cross. I want the vertical one to be a little bit taller, and then the cross to be a little bit shorter. You can leave the cross off, you can leave it on, whatever you want to do. Oh, and then let's do this line in here too. Okay, for our roof. And now I'm going to wash my brush, and I'm going to go back to my small flat brush. And now I'm going to add a little gold. So if you're not blingy and you want to call it done, you can. If you want to add the gold, you can. If you want to even go one step further and add ornaments, you can. It's your art, it's your project. I'm going to show you what it looks like from my reference sample, and I'm going to add some gold. So I'm going to add a little bit of gold to my path. And again, I'm just using a scrubbing motion. My brush is on a 45, and I'm going back and forth. Okay? Then I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to do the same thing we did with the white and the green. And I'm just randomly going to start adding in some gold to my tray. You can do this part or not. It's totally up to you. You can do as much as me, you can do less than me, you can skip it. Again, I want to fix my brush. Totally up to you. This gold is 14 karat gold from Folk Art. It's transparent, so it doesn't have a real opaqueness to it that it's really popping. It's see-through, so you can still see the green and the white through it. I'm not adding that much. I'm just doing very little random strokes the same way, with squashing down my brush and just flicking it up and adding in some green highlights. Okay? And that is that. Then, like I said, again, you can call it quits for now. I am going to add a little bit of snow. I'm going to show you how easy it is to add the snow. With the back of my brush, I'm going to use the hard handle of my brush, and I'm just going to start adding in some snowflakes. You can skip this part. You can put as many as you want. You can add a few. You can add a lot. Totally up to you. Naturally, as you run out of paint, when you're dip dotting, your dots change size automatic. You can put a few on the church and they will pop because we added some of that gray shadowing to our church. So you'll still be able to see them. And again, you can do this or you can leave it. Totally up to you. Okay? Then I'm going to take the back of my brush again with the red paint, and I'm going to add some random ornaments to my tray. Again, with the back of my brush, I'm doing about 2. And you can do this part or you can leave this part. Your art, your way. There's no art police going to come banging on your door because you didn't follow the exact directions that Teresa's Spot for Art told you to in her YouTube video. I like to encourage my painters to use their own creativity. However, don't forget that my tutorials, my tracers, my supply lists are for personal use only. If I was so inclined, I could put a big star on the top of my tree, but I think that's enough. Last but not least, I'm going to get my liner brush. I'm going to make it nice and dry. I'm going to go back into my gold paint. I'm going to twirl my brush in my gold paint. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to add some gold to my cross. And that is it. So let me turn you guys around. There we go. So here it is. There's your Christmas chapel with that beautiful tree in front. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you again to Southern Girl Can for the Jingle Craft Hop. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and then check out the description box for this tracer, all the colors I used, and the list of the other talented creatives that have been in this Jingle Craft Hop collaboration. Go check them out and give them a subscribe and a like too. Thank you everyone, and I will see you again.